When most people there's logos, photos, you guys probably already know if you've listened to any of our episodes, even for a minute, about personal branding, your brand is actually an entire ecosystem. And the goal of your brand, as we see it, is to turn your purpose into profit. You work really hard every day at your craft and you do it for a reason. There's a story behind you. And if you get that message and image out there correctly, well, you should be highly profitable. So, in this episode, we're going to discuss 4 questions that help you determine whether your brand is profitable or, heaven forbid, poor.
You don't want that.
Mhm.
Before we get started, remember to head over to brandfaceguide.com and download our free guide to building a profitable personal brand. It's full of great advice and tips to help you change how you're seen so you can charge what you're worth.
Yeah.
All right, I can speak to this naturally because I once had a very poor brand. In fact, I don't even know I had a brand at all. I never really thought of it that way because I did have all the essentials, or at least I thought I had all the essentials. I had a logo, put a lot of thought into that logo. I put my image out there at least a little bit every now and then, and I had a tagline for my business, which is still awesome to this day, right? But it wasn't enough. I didn't realize that it wasn't really a comprehensive brand. So I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing those things to get no traction, just to find out that I wasn't nearly as profitable as I wanted or needed to be. In fact, I felt like I never was. And so these questions today helped me a great deal. Tanya taught them to me, and I know they'll help you too. So stay tuned. Here they are.
All right. Number 1 question you need to ask yourself, are you charging what you're really worth? Because honestly, it all begins right here with that question. If you don't have the confidence to charge enough for the time you invest and for your expertise and experience that you bring to the table for your customers, then there's no way your brand can possibly be as profitable as it should be. When you are not charging what you're worth, it's usually due to a couple of problems.
First, are you afraid your clients can't afford the price that you really want to charge? This is big. If that's the case, it usually means that you're either targeting or attracting the wrong prospects, and those are actually 2 different things. It can, of course, mean that you don't have the right confidence that what you're offering is highly valuable to the right people. If that's the case, almost every client we have ever had tells us that simply going through the personal branding process has helped them clarify their direction. And it's given them a confidence that they never had about their business and their worth, right?
Yeah, that says a lot. Okay, so let's talk about targeting versus attracting for a moment, which Michael just said. That brings us to question number 3. Okay. Are you or could you be intentionally attracting prospects who are not a fit? In other words, you are attracting who you set out to attract, but you just don't realize that most of them either cannot or will not buy from you. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, here's a really good example for you. At one time, I was intentionally trying to attract real estate investors. That's because I was literally in front of hundreds, thousands of them in one setting, right? But every meeting that I seemed to set up with them went nowhere. It wouldn't go anywhere. And what I realized was that people saw me as a competitor, as a threat to them, because I was also an investor. I wasn't trying to help them invest. I was helping myself. That's the way they processed my messaging. And when I changed that target customer, things turned around very quickly.
Yep.
So like number 4, it could be you accidentally attracting prospects who are not a good fit, right? And when this happens, it means that your brand presence isn't aligned with your ideal customer. Your brand presence must be aligned with your ideal customer. In other words, you think your message and your image is clear and it's aimed at the right prospect, but actually you find out, like I did, that it was not. And it's attracting a different customer type that's not profitable to you.
Yeah. So, for instance, we had a real estate client who came to us with this problem. She was constantly attracting people who had credit issues, and they needed a lot of educating and problem fixing before she could even get to her part of the job where she could begin looking for a home for them. Well, that was actually because she was a nurturing soul, right? But her brand positioned her as somebody who could help them fix those credit issues and get almost impossible loans, right? That made her look like a superhero. And she could do that, of course, but that was not the kind of business she wanted, right?
Mhm.
She wanted to attract people who are already well positioned to purchase a home and were already educated about that too. And I'll never forget her because the very first time that we met with her, she said these words: I want a brand that can help me say no. I thought it was cutting
That's
edge.
powerful.
It was very powerful. And we did that for her. We built that brand for her.
Yeah, it totally transformed the people she was
Yeah.
attracting. Now, unfortunately, all of these situations are all too common and they require a comprehensive look at making sure you know exactly who you are best suited to serve and how to reach them. And we'll be back next week with a specific topic, actually, that's called how to define your perfect prospect. And that's going to help lead you into the right direction. And obviously, if your brand is poor, then the goal is to make it profitable.
You bet. You bet. And that topic next week, we're actually going to break down our HEAP code. It's an acronym, HEAP, and it's going to walk you through every single simple step that it takes to help you determine who that ideal customer is. And you're going to be amazed at how much that helps your business. So, if you'd like to, as Michael said, take your brand from poor to profitable, we cover this topic and more in our free guide. It's called The Ultimate Guide to a Profitable Personal Brand, and you can pick it up free at brandfaceguide.com.
Yep. And remember, a profitable personal brand will help you change how you are seen so you can charge what you are worth. And until next time, be bold, especially with your brand.